Welcome back. Well, that's how it went down on the Hangout, but then to get another perspective, we're being joined by a public affairs analyst as well as a lawyer, Wale Oshunde. Wale, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
What is your view on this very contentious issue?
Well, I just believe that Amnesty project or program for Boko Haram members can be, I can say it's good if only we have the original people behind, the insurgency. I mean, the original insurgents now, because you cannot just be negotiating with people who are not actually original insurgents. And that's just the fear about it, because people are just scared in certain quarters that we're not likely to have exactly the original people, so to speak, So, but I feel that if at the end of the day we're able to have the original group leaders come up, and then of course they have their own negotiators or, people who are going to be representing them. I mean, like the president said, he's very well ready to actually negotiate with them. In as much as we have the original people who are out there to say, okay, yes, we want to trade maybe whatever thing with your girls and all that, because the issue of the Chibok girls is very, very important right now. It's a germane issue, and then everybody wants to see them back alive and, kicking, Elan Ati. So I just think that if indeed we have the original guys behind this whole thing, even though they are terrorists, because I do not believe that in the first place, we should have terrorists who are actually committing very dastardly acts and all that, killing people and all that. But then, just for the sake of peace, just like we witnessed in the situation of the militants, in the Niger Delta, as far back as I think 2008 or thereabouts. So I think if indeed we are able to have the group leaders, the group chiefs, come to the table with the federal government, it's not a bad idea after all.
All right, so let's even put the Niger Delta issue aside, because some people, like they argued on the Hangout, are saying that they were clamoring for this for resource control, for what belongs to them now, so to speak. But historically, how has it been in terms of negotiating probably a government with terrorists? Has it been favoring the government? Has it been favoring the people? Or has it been favoring the insurgents?
Well, the honest truth is that we all want peace at the end of the day. And then I think the core objective of any responsible government is, to ensure that there is peace, at the end of the day. Exactly. And so just like the president said, that he is very much ready to negotiate with anyone in as much as he is very sure that this is a credible source. I think we can just explore that alternative or that opportunity if indeed we are very sure of the credibility of the group chiefs that are coming on board to say, okay, yes, we are the defined leaders of the insurgent group. Indeed, if we come to the aspect of terrorism now, or if we call them terrorists proper, of course they are terrorists, we know that. But if we have to look at it from that angle now, then it might be really wrong to actually say that, okay, yes, you want to negotiate with them. Should I say somehow morally wrong right now? Because we're supposed to go after terrorists and get them and, of course, bring them to justice. But the truth is, we have seen a lot of drama, play out from this whole episode and all that. And then I just call it episode because it's not funny at all. Now our girls are out there close to 500 days and nobody's saying anything about them and all that. And they've got families. So in the interest of peace, for the sake of peace now, that we really want them to actually come out alive, kicking Elan Ati, and then of course rehabilitate them, bring them back into the society, and then make sure that they have good life. I mean quality life all over again, because they're starting all over again. So now I think in the interest of peace, if we all queue behind our president, we support him, and then we give them these opportunities to bring back our girls and then other people who have been kidnapped, alive. If we are trading that for peace, I think it's worth trying.
So just in closing, now you are a lawyer. Constitutionally and legally, is it proper for a sitting president to grant amnesty to a confirmed group that has raided the country, has inflicted so much terror, so much pain, has cost so many people their lives, their means of livelihood? Is it constitutionally and legally correct or right to grant amnesty to these set of people?
No, that is actually a bit dicey. I'm not going to say that, or should I say, we should not look at it from that perspective. If we look at it from that perspective, then we may not be all out to achieve results. That's the truth. Because now we are talking about peace, and the most important thing, the reason why the government is there is to make sure that lives and properties are secured for people, and then they have good quality living. in the environment, and then the society is peaceful, and that's the truth. And so I believe that a responsible government will take all reasonable steps within the legal framework, within the ambit of the law, actually, to ensure that peace is achieved at the end of the day. So now, if we have to go into the intricacies and then the legal perspectives and all that, then we may not achieve results at the end of the day. Because just like you said, this is a world-known, world-acclaimed terrorist group, but then we want to achieve peace. If like I said, you cannot isolate the Niger Delta issue from this, because it's a precedent for us. Now, you notice that after the Amnesty program was actually successful, was actually inflicted on the Niger Delta militants, you notice that the whole thing, actually came to a halt. All the activities, and then, there is peace in that region.
It actually reduced, but it didn't come to a halt.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I don't want to entirely agree with you, but then I believe that you can see
because
that
we still
we
still have cases of pipeline vandalism and even a bit of, a jetty, an army barracks was attacked last week in Nembe, in Bayelsa State. So all these things keep coming up. So it's not actually, it hasn't solved the problem. It just reduced it.
Well, maybe pockets of, little naughtiness here and there. But then you can, I can be very, very clear on that one. And then you can take me up on that one. That the issue of restiveness in the Niger Delta has come to a very serious reduction. That's the truth. All
right. Wale Oshunde, public affairs analyst and lawyer, thank you for coming in on the program this afternoon and sharing your thoughts. It's always a pleasure to have you around.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's where we are, but it doesn't stop here. We do continue this conversation online, of course. You can tweet at us using the hashtag #negotiationswithBH. We take a quick break and we'll return. Of course, we do see your comments coming through. We'll take a look at some of them and also look at the most viewed video on our YouTube channel in the past week. Please join us again.
Topping from bottom in this week's 5 most viewed videos is the sesquipedalianist Patrick Obahiagbon, describing the fracas that occurred in the Edo State House of Assembly.
I don't want to believe that the Inspector General of Police would engage in that arum-scarum act of political gambadoism without presidential imprimatur. So for me, the attack should not just stop at the dastardly show of shame and infamy by the Inspector General of Police, but we should lift the political veil to see the ants, and cornucopiously so, of presidential politics.
At number 4 is the graduation of Nigerian army soldiers from a counter-terrorism course. The video showing terrorists fleeing after an attack by the military early this year is the 3rd most viewed video in the past week. Next, in second place, is the gruesome murder of a 4-month-old baby, sadly by his father, in Kogi State for ritual purposes. And topping the charts this week is a lamentation by Nigeria's former Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Bade, over the state of the Nigerian military.
We also had challenges of unserviceable equipment.
Well, there you go, some of the comments that you sent the most, and of course we do hope that those lamentations will be addressed either by the authorities or the leadership of the Nigerian army at the moment. Nigerians heaved a sigh of relief when the federal government announced a ceasefire deal with the Boko Haram sect last year. Nigerians were happy that finally the siege was over, especially with the promise that over 200 kidnapped Chibok girls would soon be released. However, the attacks continued from time to time, and even more women and girls were abducted, leaving the federal government embarrassed. And despite skepticism, many Nigerians do hope that this effort will not be won in futility. We end on this note, but continue by the social media addresses showing on your screen. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Victor_MBIDI. Now, I'm Victor Matthias. Thank you for watching.